feel that every time I come to the Institute, I am reaffirmed in the craft of directing as a two-spirit queer woman of color.
Well, I would just say that this is extraordinary. This is truly an extraordinary place because this is not something that is done very often in American theater.
To keep opening up the doors and windows in one's craft.
So many different people from so many different places come together like this. And I believe that this is fundamental to our growth as an American theater consciousness.
Applying embodied knowledge, old wisdom, ancestral memory, and that the task is really upon us to find other ways to work in the room.
The theater is so vast and so broad and can't be contained within the sort of small boxes that we often like to place ourselves within.
It feels like I am on a kind of a swimming pool board that is solid, but I can also move and jump, and then I can jump into the swimming pool and swim freely there. But I think what I'm talking about this institute is the board. There's the board that gives that solid floor, but is flexible too, and that allows you to jump, I would say, into exploration, new material.
Our task as directors is to dig in from our own perspectives.
The necessity to break down, to have clarity of what are those elements of the directing.
Letting the playfulness bring the creation, process over product.
Directing is what I do.
Directing is a very personal thing, and for me it comes out of the center. I prepare, and then the moment I walk into the rehearsal room, I forget. So that I am always entering the room in zero, full and empty.
What I learn about is creativity and how it affects life. What I learn about is passion and pain.
Each director has a gift to share.
Choose the moments to write big. The more we see it, the less power it has.
We talk about ancestry a lot in this workshop as an important element, and that I don't see in other training programs or in mainstream directing where ancestry is a value and community is a value. And how we work together across difference is a value in our work.
Making work in Minneapolis that is Dakota and Ojibwe land, but is often thought of as just the like state of Minnesota that was created by the colonizers. Yeah, I mean, it's so necessary to have language to talk about that because it reveals the fact that colonization is not something that happened, it's something that is still happening.
Don't tap us on the head and say, oh, it's so great you wrote a play. That's the worst type of racism ever.
Put our plays up because they're good.
Because they're good, you know.
And we have something to say.
And that's the
not
future
only
of
to our
theater.
communities,
Yes.
but to everybody.
You know, sometimes the more precious ideas have to be the ones that you have to let go of. I think that's really, you know, one of the harder aspects of directing, of saying, well, you know, it's a great idea and it's like a really, you know, intellectual, and it sort of feels like it captures everything that you want to say, but it's not working in practice. So that's been a very, very eye-opening and resonant lesson, big takeaway from me.
Directing is such a personal experience. I weep when I direct. I have to tell the actors I'm fine. But when it starts to come together, the tears just flow like it's a release. I think more than it is an expression of any kind of pain or emotion. But there's this release that happens, and I always know that the play is going to be okay if I'm weeping, right? But it's also, then I like to go somewhere and disappear and watch where the actors can't see me and just be there and just experience what we've created together. And nobody can understand what that is, and nobody can validate that. I won't ever need a review to validate that moment.
I think this makes me feel more empowered to do my own work and not to think in the boxes of, oh, I must do this as a director, or I'm putting on the playwright's hat, but how do I create my own work and what does that mean for myself? Yeah. I think going forward, I'll be so much more than just a playwright or just a director. You know, I can really fully be an artist.
The peer-to-peer exchange, I think, is becoming, if not already, it's becoming the core of the way that the learning happens.
I'm learning a lot about different people's crafts, different cultural groundings and base work.
I always believe in mentorship that the mentee is going to teach me just as much, if not more.
There was a moment where I looked around the circle and I felt like I loved every single person in the circle and was learning from every single person in the circle. And that, coupled with the fact that we are also different and we're from different cultures, different theater practices, different parts of the world, felt very, very, very special to me.
That art transcends boundaries, cultures, and that we are truly one. We are truly one and interconnected, even though we all have our wonderful specificities and differences.
Just the humanity in the room is going to change my bravery.
I think I learn by watching others. There's no set curriculum. It's more the curriculum is learning and doing.
Connections that we've made here today, I think will impact me for the rest of my life, the rest of my artistic life, and perhaps personal life as well. We are creating a support system and network so that we can draw upon each other, I think, for years to come, and perhaps future collaborations, but always a sense of us having a similar goal to telling stories.
I hope that the Institute ultimately turns the idea of directing and acting on its head.
The impact that this will have on the field as it continues is huge, and I'm really glad to be a part of that.
It's deepening my practice in ways that I didn't know that I needed. It's affirming things in myself that I didn't know I needed to be affirmed. It's giving me insights into the incredibly varied ways that people are like really committing themselves and diving deeply into these questions of art related to ceremony, related to ritual, related to justice. And it's beautiful.